Good afternoon, everybody. Before we get with our presentations for today, we wanted to show off a pair of promotional videos that we had commissioned with MediaWorks, which is a part of RadioWorks here in town. We had a couple of different ones. This one right here that we're going to play for you is highlighting the towns of Nobles County. Yeah, that's not bad. We'll come back. In the meantime, good morning. We'll get things going here. Welcome to Forward Worthington's second annual State of the Region event. My name is Jamie Salinas. I am the CEO of Forward Worthington. We are three entities that make up Forward Worthington. We are the Worthington Area Chamber of Commerce. We are the Worthington Area Convention and Visitors Bureau and Worthington Regional Economic Development Corporation. Three entities doing business as Forward Worthington. I'm very glad to have you here today as we hear from the city of Worthington and from Nobles County about what was accomplished in 2025 and what we are looking ahead to in 2026. Events like this are pretty valuable because they give us a chance to pause, give us a chance to reflect on progress and keep ourselves connected to the work that's shaping our community and our region. I want to begin by thanking our host, the the Nobles County Historical Society, for welcoming us into the Heritage Center here. Truly wonderful place. If you've never been, I would highly suggest this is one of those places that you need to visit. To hear and see our history of what Nobles County has become. Beth Rickers, the Historical Society's director. Thank you very much, Beth. Thank you for having us in here. Also want to give a special thank you to my staff member, Chris Honesy, for organizing the event, helping put all the details together. You know, as is often the case with events like this, a lot of work happens behind the scenes, right? And Chris deserves a great deal of credit for making sure that everything came together at the way it should. Like that second video, we'll see. At Forward Worthington, we continue to stay busy on a number of fronts as we work on behalf of our members and the broader community. One important area is advocacy. It's something that we really don't talk about as much that we probably really should. Next Tuesday, Chris will be in St. Paul for Economic Development Day at the Capitol, and then in April, she and I will head back up to St. Paul for Chamber Day at the Capitol. And during those visits, we'll be talking with our legislators about the issues that matter here in our part of the state. One of those is tourism. Specifically, a concern that many of us have that the state's tourism promotion through their agency, Explore Minnesota, feels more focused on the Twin Cities Metro and northern Minnesota, and less so on southern Minnesota, especially here in the Southwest. We'll also be talking about childcare with our legislators, tariffs, and workforce and entrepreneur startup programs through the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. Now, these are all important issues. All of them have a direct impact on our employers, our community, and our ability to grow. We also have several initiatives and events coming up that we're pretty excited about. One of them is a new program that we are working to get off the ground called the Everyday Effect. So this is a program that is centered on helping employers invest in their people by building a strong workplace culture, strengthening leadership roles, and improving the everyday skills that help employees not only be more effective, but also become more engaged, more valuable in the workplace. We're pretty excited about it and about what that could mean for not just individual employers, but for the long-term strength of business across our region. Also have one more session left in our Topics at 12 Lunch and Learn series. The topic is Work Smarter with better results, and we're looking forward to closing out that series with another practical session that people can take back and use right away. If you want to sign up for those, you can go to our website, forwardworthington.com, to sign up online. Our next social event coming is the Salute to Women Banquet. That is an annual event that we put on April 20th of this year over at the Worthington Event Center. Registration for that event will be opening up here very soon. That event also includes the presentation of our Inspirational Woman Award, which, if there's an inspirational woman in your life, in your workplace, or in this community who you think deserves that recognition, then I would encourage you to contact our office, submit a nomination. New this year will be online registration and payment. Our events planning committee has been working pretty hard to put that event together. July 21st, our annual Farm to Table event, which is actually just right outside, right here on this stretch of 9th Street between 3rd and 2nd Avenues here, organized by the Agribusiness Committee of Forward Worthington. That event especially meaningful because it serves as a fundraiser for college scholarships for students in Nobles County that are going to pursue a degree in any degree involving agriculture or bioscience at any 2 or 4 year school. Also in July, we'll be holding our second Salute to Ag event. More details will be coming on that here very soon. So there's a lot happening, and we're proud to continue to do this work alongside our many partners who care about the future of not only Worthington, but Nobles County as a whole. So again, thank you again for coming. Hope you enjoyed the food. Now it's my pleasure to help turn things over to Worthington, our first presenter, Worthington City Administrator Steve Robinson.
Thank you. Thanks, Jamie. Again, Steve Robinson, City Administrator. Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming. I know there's some people from out of town that maybe aren't familiar with everything that's been going on here, so we'll get started. Worthington continues to grow. Now our population growth has slowed slightly through the previous 3 censuses. We had averaged 10% growth over the previous 30 years. We're sitting right around 14,000 population. It has seemed to slow slightly in the last 4 or 5 years. So we continue to plan and grow, and our goal is that Worthington becomes the choice for people to want to live and work. We're a regional hub. As many of you know, we have a very diverse community. We are a white minority community with less than 40% white people. So this has changed a lot since the 90s probably. When I graduated from high school, we had probably greater than 95% white people, white kids in each class. Now we're probably less than 20%. We've been able to get strong partnerships both in the business and education. We partner a lot with the school district. We have a lot of great collaboration with them, and our goal is to continue to grow and create the quality of life. We support the inclusive community. We've been investing in infrastructure, and I'll run through a couple of things on that. Enhanced public safety. We have 24-hour police coverage. It's been a challenge with keeping our police department full. I think in the 12 years or so that I've been here, we've been fully staffed for about 6 months. So it puts a burden on a lot of overtime, a lot of improvising on keeping our department moving. So what did we do last year? I was fortunate. We have a city council that was committed to not only making amenity improvements, but also getting caught up on a lot of street work that we had fallen behind on. And just last year, we did 4th Avenue reconstruction. That's the block down one block. We did 2 blocks where it's complete reconstruction. We added bump outs, added a lot of aesthetic amenities. These blocks downtown are very complex to work on. You have 100-year-old infrastructure underneath and all of the steam pipes that used to be used here. If you didn't know, Worthington had its own power plant, and one of the byproducts was steam that was then piped through the downtown area, and the businesses and some of the apartments used that steam, free steam, to heat their buildings. So we have all these abandoned steam pipes in town that we had to work around and get out. We've done a lot with pavement restoration. That's where we either overlay or mill and overlay. It's not a complete reconstruction. We did launch a new website. Our previous website, we were locked out because the guy that wrote it passed away, and none of us could get in and make some of the changes. So it took us quite a while. Christina Adame from our staff did much of the work on that to get that in place. Murray Avenue, which is out by the old A&W, that was completely reconstructed. That was one of those streets that had been neglected for many years. Cannabis. So, as you know, our legislature in their wisdom legalized cannabis. Worthington, under the law, with a population of, if you have population greater than 12,500, you have to have at least one cannabis store. You have to allow one. Now, my math said is every 12,500 population, so we would be required to have one. The state's math said, no, if you're at 12,500, that means you have to allow at least 2. And if you follow the math of the state, you might agree with me that it doesn't make sense, but that's what they have come up with. Worthington decided not to limit the number of cannabis registrations. So far, we have approved 5 sites, and they have to get a conditional use permit. And this is kind of wonky with local government. A conditional use permit means that it meets all the zoning requirements, but they have to have this CUP in which the city council can establish reasonable conditions, but it is legal to go in there. We as a city, we have very restricted authority on what we can do with cannabis businesses. The applicants have to get pre-approval from the Minnesota Office of Cannabis. I don't know, do they have did they finally put a formal director in yet? They've had adventures with that. So what we did as a city is we established zoning where they could go. It's restricted to our business districts. And some of the restrictions we put on is 200-foot buffer from schools and youth facilities, 1,000-foot spacing between cannabis dispensaries, and they're only allowed in commercial and business districts. Like I said, we have 5 approved locations. Of those, only 1 is actually in the process of making improvements to a building. Second one has recently applied for a building permit. We have no idea what the other 3 are up to. So those that are still mourning the loss of, I'll say the temporary loss of Jimmy John's, the people that applied for that permit, we have not heard from them since. But Jimmy John's they lost their lease over this, and they are in the process of relocating and should be open. They were hoping to open in March. I don't know if they're quite on track for that. We will have local registration, but we are very restricted what we can do. We have restrictions on how much we can charge for registration. We have restrictions on what hours we can limit them to and the days that we can limit them to. So it was very much set up for those that are supportive of recreational cannabis. So what are we going to do this coming year? All right, we now have 2 companies that are planning, and more than just planning, they are in the works of installing fiber broadband throughout the entire city to the home. That shouldn't say Vast, it should say Frontier, which I guess is owned by Verizon now. But we've had meetings with Blue Peak to look at their plans. Our biggest concern is collaborating, because we're going to have 2 companies that are going throughout the city on every block, and it's done underground, but there's a lot of digging and potholing. There'll be a lot of disruption. We are attempting to get the 2 companies to collaborate and maybe work together, and one take one side of town, one the other, but then put the conduit in for the put their conduit in, but then put the other one in. Blue Peak told us, they've been very responsive. We met with them last week, and we have another meeting coming up next week. Because they will bring in multiple underground crews, and for us to track and make sure they're going in the right location, and that they GIS it so that it's compatible with our GIS system. But they've been very responsive to work with. Frontier has been more of a challenge, just trying to find people that we need to talk to. Our city engineer spent 6 hours one day going from one person to another before he finally reached the person that said that he is in charge, and he has been at Frontier for 2 months. So, all right, so one of our exciting projects, we are working on an ice arena project. The current ice arena was built 35 years ago, and it was done primarily on volunteer and private donations. It is at the end of its life, and there's a desire to have 2 sheets of ice. So the project that we're moving forward is to build a new sheet of ice adjacent, connected to the existing, and then reconstruct the existing one. Tear up the floor, put a new refrigeration system in, do some new modifications to the existing building. We have partnered. City of Worthington has committed $7 million. School District 518 has committed $5 million. Worthington Public Utilities at $3 million, and the Hockey Association is committed to $1 million. So we have a $16 million budget, which is very slim margins for us to work with. We are working with our construction manager and architect. We're just kind of finalizing some contract issues that we had with the construction manager. But we're moving forward. But we have to figure out how to accomplish this for $16 million. What we'll have is there'll be more ice time. We have I think the school varsity teams are practicing at 8 o'clock at night or at 6:30 in the morning. The youth is filling it up. If you have tournaments, I think they had one tournament where they were using Laverne's rink as one of their second rinks. We'll have one of the rinks will be constructed to accommodate year-round ice. We'll start out with that. We'll see if we actually need year-round ice, if there's that interest, but we will be able to accommodate that. The second rink that will be seasonal for probably 4 months, we'll see what we do with that during the off time. One of our ideas is that we could put turf down and have another field house facility. This is kind of some early schematics of what it would look like. This is at the fairgrounds. The shaded area is the existing rink, and the new rink would go on to it. We're already making modifications to this. We've shortened up the new building, shortened up the lobby space. There's quite an elevation difference, so the rinks will probably be at different elevations. So when you come in the lobby, you'll go up or down to one rink or the other. This is one we're really excited about, collaborating with the school district. At the old West School site. School district is building a new girls softball field. They've used the city's fields, which really were not up to the standards that we should expect for our girls' athletics in the high school. When are you open bids? That's coming up, isn't it? Have you advertised yet on your, anybody from the school? Today. Opening bids today? Yes. All right, with that, what the city is doing, this is Tower Street, which we recently vacated. This little shaded square is a new bathroom, concessions, and storage building. We opened our bids last week. We came in about 12% under bid. In a few weeks, this one block of tower, as you can see, is going to be closed off with in and out parking from both ends. And so we'll be able to get parking. We have our pickleball courts up in this area and a basketball court. So getting our restroom up in the more used area is going to be much more beneficial to everybody. And I think I've been working on this for 2 years or more. Same with the ice arena. We've been involved with that for a couple of years. We're finally getting to the point. We'll get that. We're going to build the restroom building early this construction season and then come back later to do the roadway work. All right, so don't pay attention to the narrative there. This is going forward in 2027. This is North Humiston, which is actually State Highway 59. And the state, in their generosity, has come to us and said that they would like to turn that back to the city. So the North Humiston and the east leg of Oxford Street are actually state highways. Oxford Street has sections of state highway, county road, and city street when you go from the east end by the roundabout out to the middle school. We have different jurisdictions that are responsible for that. So in 2027, MnDOT, part of the arrangement is we'll accept the turnback after it's reconstructed. And since we're going to own it, that enabled us to have a lot of input as to how it would be constructed and access to our business, because it really is just a primary commercial street, which is MnDOT's reason for wanting to turn it back. So as you look at this, in 2027, MnDOT is replacing the bridges over Highway 59, and also at Stour, which is a little farther west. So in 2029, this road will be pretty much, or 2027, this road will be inaccessible, which is challenging because our police department and sheriff department are on the other side of Highway 59. This is a bit of a schematic as to where we're at. The entrance and exit ramps off of Interstate 90 will be roundabouts. We'll put an offset roundabout at Ryan's Road, and then it will continue up to Oxford Street. And then in 2028, they will do, 2027, sorry, I'm getting confused. 2027, they're doing the bridges. Also in 2027, they're doing the east leg of Oxford Street from Humiston to the first roundabout. 2028, then they will do the North Humiston. So for 2 years or more, we're going to have great disruption. We have some law enforcement issues that we need to work through. We do have some law enforcement office at the fire hall. We're going to have to do some reconfiguring so that we can make sure we have our officers on patrol in town. There's also a bit of a challenge. We get a lot of life flights, either helicopter or fixed wing planes at the airport, which again is on the other side of the interstate, and we've got to be able to get access on those emergency situations. All right, housing. We have had we have a great shortage of market rate rental housing in Worthington. And we've been working for years trying to find developers that would come in. Nothing has ever come to fruition. All of a sudden this year, a group called Keepers Construction and Architecture, they're out of Brainerd, they showed up with this plan. We currently have two 36-unit apartment buildings under construction. This is out on the South Beltway, where it was the Sinclair gas station. It's now owned by Casey's. That's out there. If you drive by, you'll see two of the buildings under construction, up three-level buildings. I think they have a couple of studio units, but it's mostly 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. Their master plan calls for a total of 5 buildings. And then the other one, these are some site plans of what Keepers, schematics of what Keepers would look like. There we go. The other one is a smaller project. This is DeRocher Brothers out of the Sioux City area. They're building on what was city-owned property out by the movie theater. They currently have 3 12-unit buildings under construction. We have 112, I counted right, 112 units under construction currently that should be open for leasing by the latter part of this summer. Their master plan calls for up to 5 buildings. Street projects, we're going to mill and overlay First Avenue Southwest from Noel going out to the west. That's out the Prairie Elementary area. And with that, we just added, we're going by Puppy Park, which just has a gravel parking lot. We're going to include that into this roadway project. Clary Street over by the high school, we've got a water main project. 6th Avenue, which is on the other side of the hospital, where we got road construction there. Some utility work on 3rd Avenue. And along with the softball project, we're doing the second block of Tower and then going out to the, on 10th Avenue, out to the bridge that goes over Whiskey Ditch. If any of you drive that road, it should have been repaired a number of years ago. Mill and overlay on 11th Street downtown. The Centennial Park lift station. So we have, over by the softball field at Centennial Park, you see a little building there. That is actually a storm sewer lift station. Much of the downtown area, stormwater, drains to this lift station. During the flood of 2024, the pumps burnt out. We made a quick repair on that on a Sunday morning. But we're replacing the entire building and the pumps, and it's quite a large electrical process, if you can imagine. So that, we just had a pre-construction meeting yesterday on that project. One of the things I want to talk about, I've been fortunate with, to have a city council that was committed to making improvements to Worthington. In the past 5 or 6 years, we have spent $39 million, I'm sorry, just shy of $40 million, on community improvement projects. And those of you that run around town, you know of many of them. We have invested over $7 million in housing, $6.5 million in arts and entertainment. That includes the movie theater. If you don't know, the movie theater is actually was built and is owned by the city, and we lease it to an operator. Public facilities, we've invested $5.6 million. Most of that is with our public works building and our liquor store. Recreation athletics, $15 million we have invested. Parks, if you, I'm sure most of you have had the chance to see that, $5.7 million in the last 5 or 6 years have gone into our parks. And that has been the commitment of our city council to modernize and improve our city and really give our residents fun things to do. So, does anybody have questions? Great, thank you.
All right, sounds like you can hear me. My name is Bruce Heitkamp. I'm the county administrator for Nobles County. Just going to go through 10 or so slides, talk about what we did last year, what's on the horizon for us, some events that are ongoing, and we can start off from there. So this is our commissioners. Commissioner Damath is sitting here at the table. I don't know if any of the other folks made it today, but they're all districted out. The districts are established by population. This comes right off of our website, and in the upper left there is our county districting maps. Two of our commissioners, Commissioner Damath and Commissioner Dibovec, primarily their districts primarily are on in the city of Worthington, and that's demonstrated in the map to the right. More details can be shared. Again, on our website, but Justin Allers, Gene Metz, Bob Paplow, Robert Damath Jr., and Chris Dibovec. That's who I get to work for every day, amongst yourselves, too. All right, last year, our projects that we had. Thank you for your patience and waiting for our library to get back up and established here. We did have temporary sites, as you know, on 12th Street, but we were able to move in earlier this year back in our War Memorial building, and you'll still see some ongoing construction going on in regards to that, but we are all set to go, and like I said, books and stuff are continually be reintroduced to the collection every day. Our mental health short-term stabilization center, this has been something that's in the process for several years now, and we have in the next week, I can say that we're going to be totally built out. I had to do some window improvements. There was some Department of Human Services came in late and said, you don't have enough window area, so we had to cut in 4 windows, and so that should be done here. We are working with Levacare and on right now establishing operations out there, and so that's going to be a large thing that we'll be working on in 2026, trying to get that established. That's a cooperative agreement of, boy, I think I was told it's like 15 or 15 counties, I believe. There's a couple of other counties that have a primary site, and this would be their secondary site. All of that area for 8 beds. So we are expected to be full out there. And again, if you're wondering where that's at, that's on the southeast corner of our Prairie Justice Center, which is north of town here. Last year, law enforcement, investigation, storage, and impound. Our impound lot was primarily on the south side of the Prairie Justice Center. It was unsightly. It didn't set a good example of how government should hold their impound vehicles. And then there would be some investigations. And if there was something like a vehicular homicide or anything, it wasn't that site wasn't suitable for housing those kinds of items. And so we'd work with the city, we'd work with other private people to store and secure that evidence, I guess I should say. And now we have our own facility. And so that goes all the way to prosecutions and everything. And now we have a nice facility in which we're working with the city on a joint powers organization we call the Law Enforcement Center organization. And so it's a cooperative effort with the city PD, Nobles County, and the Sheriff's Department. Our law library, conference room, and training room. Law library, we get a speeding ticket. X amount of dollars go to a law library fee. That sat there, built, and then we have our community corrections department as well. The law library sat out there, was very infrequently used. Internet kind of took over as a lot of research resources, and so therefore we, I guess, retained back a large area of our law library. We still do have a law library out there, but we also now have this conference and training room, and so that is a resource for the departments out there as well. Our internship program and our workforce retention efforts, we are now starting our third year working with the Private Industry Council, our Career Force Office, on sponsorship of an internship program. It's an internship in that we do work with four-year programs. However, the recent need and trades and everything that way, and also having Minnesota West in town, we kind of call it experiential learning too. So Career Force, Private Industry Council is given a set of parameters. Nobles County funds that organization, or that practice, I should say. Then Private Industry Council acts as the official employer for the young people that'll come and start working for us, and primarily they work in the summertime. And they're paid $17 an hour. They're guaranteed so many hours a week, or not guaranteed, they're offered so many hours a week, and then it goes for a certain amount of time. And if you work for anybody over a certain amount of time, then you have to tag on the benefits and other things, and that's kind of sets the parameters for that program. Along with that, I mentioned other workforce efforts. I think I mentioned it last year too. Our commissioners stated that when we were setting up the internship program that, boy, it'd be great to do something with the high school students. So before they leave, we could really introduce what Worthington, what our area is for opportunities to work. So I sit on a board, and Brad Meester, and others are on our Jamie here is on our board, and Dominic here, if you raise your hand, Dominic, he's one of our young people that is our young professionals, as we call them, that is actually participating in the program. And so that's a real great and exciting thing, and I know there's a number of you, including the Historical Society, that is sponsored or offered to show them the business end of what it takes for your organizations, and I'm very appreciative of that. Roadway and bridge projects, yes, that's ever and ongoing, and we've, of course, did that last year. I wanted to highlight one thing. We started off, if you live in the southeast corner of the county, County Road 4 was labeled for a while as our #1 priority to get things done. It was one of our projects that the half-cent sales tax, I believe, was funded, that we established a few years back. And that is kind of a cooperative, it's a project that's going to be concurrent from 2025 to 2026. And ever ongoing efforts with the Reading Sewer Service District and trying to get them a wastewater facility. We're inching along. In 2012, Summit Lake Township received a notice of violation from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and basically stating that Reading's sanitary service was not suitable. Basically, it's the longest straight pipe discharge of untreated sewage in Minnesota today, and going right into our public waters. And so, quick recap on that one. Summit Lake reached out and asked for some help. The commissioners at the time established a subordinate district, the Reading Sewer Service District. And ever since, we've been trying to obtain funding, get a design, get the community kind of on board with what's going on. They've been very supportive, the community has. And we have a design now. We have land purchased for the ponds, and we're waiting for funding. And so we went, and when they found out what the funding is, they're like, okay, the state offices were like, we don't have that amount of funding for you. So we're asking and hoping that a bonding bill comes, and so we can get a capital budget request out and an appropriation, a state appropriation to complete that project. All right, well, this is kind of a jumbled page, but kind of bringing things into 2026. Again, we're hoping that we see the opening of that mental health short-term stabilization center. That's an ongoing effort. Just last week, we were in the cities, commissioners and I were lobbying. We had the Association of Minnesota Counties Legislative Conference in which we could do some lobbying, talk about the Reading Sewer Service District, ask them about MA or Medicaid. And then, they always, this being an election year, just what's on the horizon. Is there any bills out there for a lot of added features in which our Auditor Treasurer's Department is going to have to have? That seemed to be a recent, topic with recent elections, making sure everything's secure. Luckily, as of now, we're not hearing a lot of additional measures in regards to that, so everything must be going well. Citizen engagement and artificial intelligence. You heard Steve say just how diverse we are in Worthington. We're diverse in Nobles County. We're growing as a county where all the neighbors around us are reducing in size. The number one determinant of that is new people coming in for immigration. And so with that, not everybody just speaks English, off the bat. There's, I think it's been said 50 so languages or whatever. And so we're working in our, if it's even our elevators and at the government center, implementing Spanish signs on the elevators. We're looking to expound upon that. And then kind of an interesting thing is that we're making the first investments in artificial intelligence. And I said AVA. TIPCO is a vendor that we're working with on two pieces. One, our phone system. It's going to be 24/7. It has, I think, close to 50 languages that are listed. There's probably, about a quarter of them that will maybe be relevant to our area. But there will be an AI chatbot that sounds very real, that will derive the information that they'll share off of a controlled area of our website, and we'll be able to reference the manuals that we have on there to answer questions that people have, and that will assist greatly with our staff, and they will getting it right from the manual. Improve on accuracy and help streamline the processes. Another portion of the AVA Companion they call it, is sometimes our staff go into research needs, which may take an hour or so. Now they can present and probably focus on demonstrating a question as accurately as possible, and AVA Companion will dig into those manuals and obtain the information back for them. And so again, that's primarily going to take place in our community services office, and I think we'll see that probably start to take place in the second quarter of 2026. Firearms and deer hunting, previous standards in place. That was just decided this week, Tuesday. I think from what I've heard, and I haven't heard from Jackson County, but Rock County is shotgun or prior firearm standards. Nobles County decided to do that as well. Again, we're kind of waiting on what Jackson did. North of us, they went to rifle. And so that's just kind of up-to-date information on that. We'll get that information to the DNR, and they'll be able to tell all of their hunters and everybody else what's going on with that. Data center, right now we're in coordination and for our review committees. Planning and zoning is, they're in the midst of a comment period for text revisions on whether or not a light industrial data center use would be appropriate for ag preservation districts. And so again, that's in the comment period, and they'll address that soon. Kind of another separate, but again, the data center project that we addressed on Tuesday is the AUAR process, area-wide urban, I'm going to mess up that acronym, but we had to draft a scoping document and a draft order for the Environmental Quality Board to review, and that got shipped off, and then they'll get back to us, and then there'll be a comment period on that, and we are just digging in, on that one, on that project. And so nothing's decided, everything is still on the table, and we're trying to fact find and get information every day, as I'm sure many of you are as well. Internship, retention of workforce, I mentioned that in the last slide. Nothing to change there, same program, 15 internships, and I'm very pleased to say that as of now, we're approaching 20 applicants. I think 17 is what's right now, applicants for our CEO program. Roadway drainage projects, I'll have more on that in a couple slides here. Prairie Justice Center, parking resurfacing and walks. Again, I mentioned that we have a joint powers with the city of Worthington, the law enforcement committee, and engineers Widseth are reviewing what we will bid out for that. We'll continue to communicate as a joint powers organization, and then eventually that will go to the county commissioners for to, I guess, establish bids and get that ready to go. Primarily, the way things are going now, it's probably going to be a next year project that we'll get to report on. Community corrections, garage and workshop. Our community corrections department, another joint powers, Rock Nobles Community Corrections. They park all their vehicles outside, just north of the jail and east of the courts. There's an empty grassy area. We're looking to build a garage out there. We'll coordinate that all with the city and EMS, EMT, because we'll have to, as it stands now, hook that up to sewer and water, and we don't want to, we want to make sure that we're communicating what we're doing around Airport Road there. Opioid funding and cannabis business administration. The county is kind of the keeper of the funds for opioid funding. A couple of years ago, you maybe heard that all these opioid companies were getting sued. There's settlements. Worthington is a player in this. The county is a player in this. And we're all collaboratively working with Greater Minnesota Cities, Association Minnesota Counties, and the State Attorney General's office on working on those settlements. And so over the next, now probably 16 to 17 years, we're going to be getting funding, and then we've already distributed that out. And law enforcement has received equipment. Our folks that are doing treatment have received funding, and we'll continue to get, it's kind of more front-end loaded on the money, but for the next 16, 17 years, get dollars, and we'll continue to meet. We got a city representative on our committee, county staff on that as well, and we will continue distributing that money in an effort to help people, ward off the demons that the opioids had. Cannabis Business Administration, you heard Steve state what's going on in Worthington. The county has an ordinance that we have two allowed uses. And right or wrong or indifferent, the city of Worthington fits into what the counties do. So their 5, or 4 to 5, or wherever they're at, meets our requirements for 2. Majority of the cities signed a joint powers agreement again with the county to basically have the county administer to their processes, their administrative processes. And so we have that in place. So basically, what does that mean? If one of those other cities are contacted about cannabis business, they refer it to us. Our health department, our administration, planning and zoning, all go together and start working with them. But again, the quick answer is there's only 2 allowed in the county. Each individual local government unit can decide for themselves what they want to do. Worthington's decided on their number, which meets our capacity. So, as it stands now. And any of those cities can back out of that agreement with a 30 or 60-day notice. Comprehensive planning, the Nobles County is working on their plan. They had a plan 2025. We're now we started even late last year on updating the county's plan. And we contracted with Southwest Regional Development on that. Chris is here. Thank you for your efforts, Chris, in helping us. We just had a meeting even last night. Some of you in the room were in that meeting with us, talking about planning and zoning. And throughout the next year, there will be history. Next month is economic development. We just tackle little pieces of that in the development of a comprehensive plan that'll lead Nobles County through 2050. And child daycare, maintaining and additions of services, and I'll get into that a couple slides from now. Community services, which human services is what the state kind of refers to it, HHS services. We're kind of watching what's happening legislatively. Everybody can kind of follow along with politics and the frustrations regarding state fraud, states mad, about ICE standards. And in the midst of all that, we got a legislative session that we're hoping that they can make some decisions about things that, all of those things are pertinent, but I mean about our Reading Sewer Service District, about the community services piece. The one thing is that there's a huge amount of dollars that come flowing from the federal government to the state government, and then the county serves as the most local piece for community services or human services. So as we're reading and hearing in the news, they're talking. The federal government is threatening to hold back Medicaid funding. The state's looking at adjusting services, and we're just all kind of trying to wait and figure out what that means to us. And so there's other service providers in town, or in the room here, that is waiting for the same thing. So yeah, again, I mentioned state reform, kind of waiting. We heard earlier in the week, Governor Walz mentioned that they're hoping to maybe bring more services on to the state level. We've been aware of that. We've met as in 87 counties, and we think that's a huge undertaking for the state to take on. And so we're letting them go through that. And again, we're kind of hopeful that they're just say, I think you folks can do it best. You do it at the most local level, and then we can just kind of address what resources you need to do it here. There's always the unfunded mandates. I'm going to dive into that one, but it's quite common at the end of the legislature, for somebody to say elections is the most recent one. So you got to do this, 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 this. Well, oftentimes you had to add staff, you had to, change job descriptions, you had to do different things, and it just means more money locally. Sometimes they're funded, oftentimes they're unfunded. And so we're waiting and hoping nothing comes out of the legislative service or legislative session because of that. And again, just managing it all and balancing the county budget. And I guess that's enough, in itself. We try to find new revenue. We try to reduce expenses. We try to grow our tax base. That's the best that we can do. And so it's kind of crazy to say in 2 months that we're going to be starting that budget process all over again for 2027. I mentioned our roadway projects. I know I'm speaking here for a while, but this is what we have planned for 2026. Apologies for the back of the room. But the blue dots are our bridge replacements. And so Bloom County, you can see that, Grand Prairie County. I don't know if that's Lorain or Elk over there, but there's 6 bridge projects that are going to be replaced. That's key to those people in those areas, of course, but also to EMS. And so our emergency manager is keen to working with Public Works and trying to figure out when those bridges are going to be replaced, to make sure that her fire departments and the ambulance services are aware. She makes them educated so everybody knows where they need to go to service the people. The red is our seal coating. And so that, again, is just our bituminous areas that will get a seal coat of oil over them. Prior to that, they crack seal, and so you may see our county trucks out there blowing out cracks, filling them with, the oil or the mastic that they call it, which is a little bit more of a wider strip. And then if things all go well, up in the right corner, it's hard to see, but there's a dash line. They're hoping that a possible seal coat is 20 that would go from Highway 91 through Leota and to the county line. Kind of one unique project is in Adrian, Safe Routes to School program. Was talking to Chris at Southwest Regional Development Corporation. He's assisting the Adrian School District on that, on creating a safe walkway. Right now, a lot of kids walk on the streets in Adrian, and so to create a safe walkway that will take them over Highway 91 so they can safely get through school. And then in the green, kind of finally there, that's the County Road 4 project. And all these projects, some of them are local roads, some of them are state aid roads. And so that's where the state kind of, again, comes through. We got a cost accounting system that really helps track all of our funding and expenditures. And then we have our local sales tax fund. So you buy a pack of gum and it's a half a cent sales tax, and that adds up to pay for items like that project down there. Oh, drainage ditches. Yeah, I didn't introduce this last year, and a lot of people probably doesn't know about our drainage ditches. But the east side of the county, again from the back, it's hard to see, but maybe you can see kind of the veins here. That is our drainage system, and so as you can see, they're contiguous with Murray County. Maybe even dabble a little bit into Cottonwood, but I think most part it's Murray. And then from there, we send water over to Jackson County. And so there's a lot of joint powers drainage committees that we work with those counties. But it's it's a formal process. If in the east or the west part of the county, drainage law is everywhere. Private tiles are legally dug in. You can push water to your neighbors, and then the drama starts. And then so here on the east side, and they contact our office. Our drainage coordinator, Loretta Halber, works with them on a petition process, and then it gets formal, and then it goes to viewers, and then redeterminations of benefits. It's just a whole long process. It works very smooth, but I just wanted to picture that. The next slide kind of adds on it too. It's kind of interesting that this project, this drainage system, is 107 years old, or maybe even older now, and it was kind of left. It was established in, it worked. You can imagine what egg prices per acre were then, and now it's maybe 100 times more. I don't know, but as egg prices increased and margins narrowed, the folks started talking again about, hey, we got to make these drainage systems as efficient as possible. And that's kind of in the last 10 years when we've started looking and established the drainage department, and everything kind of took off on maintaining. Some people wanted to add to systems. And again, Loretta is kind of managing all that. And here it says in the bottom, county ditch was originally established by the county board. A judicial ditch was established under the district judicial court. So that. Child daycare, another great big thing that we're working on. Angie's here from CEDA, Community Economic Development Associates. For the last couple of years now, we've hired CEDA to kind of perform the day-to-day. And, the projects that we're working on now is creation of 2 pods in Rushmore. So that's basically a house, a duplex house in which daycare could be on either side. And then we're working with another establishment locally to have a center. We lost a center in Worthington last year. Basically, centers, places that have great overhead, whether it's additional teachers to have their additional educational offerings, the buildings, what have you, kind of puts them at an unfair advantage cost-wise. And especially, again, nothing against the school district. We have a great school district all throughout the counties, and not just Worthington and Adrian too. School districts are looking to expound upon their educational offerings. What's that mean? Well, one of the things is preschool offerings. Well, the daycare kids, the 4, 5, 6 years olds, they used to be in daycare. It takes less people to watch those 4, 5, 6-year-olds than it does infants and newbies or whatever. And that just added to the cost structure. And so we in day one, we learned, First Children's Finance came in. We started a program called the Rural Child Care Innovation Program. And in day one, they basically introduced that fact, that we're gonna have to find people to sponsor. We're gonna have to engage in the private sector to find ways to work on the gives and takes with our child care providers to make sure that we can keep them here. And we've seen last year what happens when things don't pencil out for them. So the county is matching funds. We had some COVID funds that we could spend on economic development pieces, and the commissioners dropped money in on that. We got a deed grant. That's somewhere in here. And we ended up creating different grant programs. So the in-home providers could get some improvements on their homes. The centers have a little bit more money if they have infrastructure items. We have money for creation of new developments, like I mentioned, the proposed items that we're having now. And we're hoping to make a difference. And Angie and Jim from CETA are out there working on education pieces. Just this week or last week, they're taking the kids out of the homes and doing fun things with them. There's appreciation events for providers, and that's great. And then so, we've been working with that. We visited with Mayor Mike at the time a couple of years ago. He brought kind of to light where we're at, and that we really need to take this on. The county took it on, and now we're asking for you folks to kind of get engaged in that. And we do have a local group that meets, brings information in, takes information out. But we gotta the rubber's got to hit the road here pretty soon, and the daycare providers, are aging. They're going to retire out of the system very soon. We've seen what happened with one of our centers. We heard what's going on north of us in Slayton. I think somebody came in and tried to save that center. But without that, I'm just saying something catastrophic is going to happen. And I think our families are already feeling it. And so that's where we kind of talk about creative modeling, where there can be some private-public partnerships. And in preparation of that, Nobles County budgeted $50,000 as an employee benefit if something could be laid out. And here we are sitting in March. We don't have any of that benefit established, and there really isn't a model developed yet. And again, I'm just throwing things out that I've talked to other people about an idea. Maybe we take those pods and those centers for sure, and maybe we can buy a retainer slot from them. Maybe a portion of the funding that we give to the provider would go to our employees. That slot would go into, their children would maybe get a reduced rate for something. Again, just trying to get the gears turning on a model, something that would infuse more dollars into our daycare providers' pockets, and maybe our employees would get that as well. And again, when I say the county employees, maybe all of your employees too, if we could figure out a system to make that work. And so that's an ever-going thing. We have CETA contracted until the end of June, and then we're searching for answers after that. The commissioners didn't fund that project after this. So again, trying to engage you in, and if this is hitting home, get a hold of me, I can get us, in the right, get us in the right, people in the room, and we can kind of collectively continue to work with this. And with that, thank you so very much. Any questions you have? I'm sorry, I know I'm long in the tooth.
Bruce, are you, back to the data center, are you getting any support, or what kind of support are we getting from 518 in the city? Probably being the biggest benefactors.
Well, we're engaging, but I have, we're not to the point of, if they wanted to comment like the comment periods are going, Steve, I don't know, I'm factual in saying I probably haven't called and really specifically talked to you about that. Introduced it to you maybe that was ongoing, but not a lot of, I did sit down with Joel and Josh at the school district and just let them know what's going on. Again, the biggest thing, and we would like to put some more information out on the website. It's just that, before we're able to do it, that's not right, that's skewed, and that's skewed for the for side. And then, nope, that's not right, and they're not using 100,000 acres of land, they're not using all the water, so it's, right now we're working on a frequently asked questions, having the attorneys vet it, to get more information out as we know it, but try to remain objective as we can in the process. But to answer your questions, nothing really, back in regards to, right now it's just, hey, this is on the horizon. And quite honestly, all of these procedures and things that are taking place, we're learning right along with people. And the Environmental Quality Board will give us some direction most recently on the next steps we'll have to take in publishing the draft order for review and publishing the draft scoping documents, and then the attorneys will work with us with frequently asked questions. I don't know if I did, but that's kind of the answer I have today for that. Okay. Yes?
And this might be for Steve too. You talked about all of the market rate housing that is being developed in primarily Worthington, but Nobles County, and 112 units, and that's fantastic. Is there any discussion about, I work with SMOC, and so we serve low-income families. Is there any discussion about housing, maybe not market rate, but income-based housing in the county or in the city?
Do you have any answer for that?
Anyone that wants to develop income-based housing is more than welcome. The city will not offer any financial support.
Is there any?
Nothing is in the works.
Okay.
The one thing, Darcy, and you being with the county too, we had the Nobles Home Initiative, and that's kind of everybody, and Worthington's participating in that. It's not a really direct answer, but I found kind of indirectly, kind of being with that project all the way through, and Steve has been there too, and others. But with that Nobles Home Initiative and new houses being built, it's opening up houses, existing houses, and that's what I always contested. I didn't really realize that was a derivative of what was taking place, but the houses, maybe now standards, $150,000 house becomes available for somebody that could meet those, requirements, and at the same time, the tax base is getting developed, maybe a little delayed, but getting developed for when the new house is built. Anything else? Yes?
I'm on the HRA board, but I think Tanner, maybe you could speak to the mental assistance program that you just put in place from the state, and then what we're doing with existing housing.
Yeah, sure, Mike. No problem. Yeah, my name's Tanner Rogers. I'm the executive director at the HRA. Minnesota Housing just implemented a new tenant-based or project-based rental assistance program called Bring It Home that's geared towards families with dependents under 18 in the house, meeting or not meeting certain income thresholds. Our office operates the federal Section 8 rental assistance in 7 counties in southwest Minnesota. So we're going to follow suit with that state-funded Bring It Home program. 112 market rate units, that's great. We got 49 vouchers for the Bring It Home assistance program, which isn't going to go very far in 7 counties, so I think there's still going to be a pretty significant need. It's certainly not the final answer, but I think a step in the right direction. And then the HRA did acquire 2 properties that sat on the market for 6, 7, 8, 9 months that needed a lot of help. And it was clear private money wasn't going to go in and do that, because if they wanted to turn them around, you weren't going to be able to make any money. So as a public entity, myself and our board thought, we maybe can tackle something like that without the need to absolutely break even. So we went out for bid on rehab projects on 2 houses. One of them, it's gonna be cheaper to knock it down and build something new. But the other is, I would say, 60% done on a complete gut, and we're optimistic that we can get out what we put in without trying to, gouge and get every dollar that we can. And we're really hopeful that it's going to be that entry level. Bruce, 150,000 in Worthington doesn't get you very far anymore. Entry level home is probably 250 or in that range now. So yeah, we're optimistic. Again, it's not the ultimate answer, but it's a step in the right direction. Mike, you want it?
I gotta keep up with the times.
Any more comments or questions for either Bruce or for Steve? Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for attending. This is our 2nd annual State of the Region event. Before you go, just a thing here, data center was mentioned. Back in November, Chris and I attended a forum about data centers. Wasn't necessarily about specific projects, just what is a data center, all the basic information regarding construction, the different types, resource usage, that kind of thing. Everything that you would, if you didn't know anything about data centers, you went to this session, now you're a bit more educated. So that was what Chris and I really wanted to get more educated. Now we are trying to basically kind of copy that event that we went to. The first one was up in Mankato. It was presented by Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. So we are trying to develop our own forum. Again, not to necessarily address specific projects, but just as a way for people that want to know about data centers, what they entail, how they're built, all the basic data center 101 stuff. That's something that we are working to try to present here, and hopefully get something nailed down and get more information out as it becomes available. So I just want to throw that out there. In the meantime, again, thank you very much for attending the event for today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.